So what were you saying? Slop? You never seen a human being? What were you saying?
Hi. Sorry.
No, what were you saying? About human beings? You've never seen a human being do what?
Throw the stuff on the walls or something.
Well, John, you know what this is? When I'm asleep, I don't know if you've ever watched one of my videos. When we go into
not a good marketing idea to
when we go
talk
into
about something like that. I don't see how anyone would relate to it.
well, I'm going to tell you the story about how people can relate to it. So,
What is this?
basically, John has just covered the wall. What did you cover up, John? A slop? What were you saying?
Wait. I have to be very careful about this, not to get any paint on this rug.
Well, then I'd pull the rug back and put the plastic underneath it.
Let me just finish painting the very last of it.
Okay.
It's not even really painting the walls. It's just covering up the stuff for now because it was too.
Now, the stuff is ectoplasm. You ever heard that word,
I've been
John?
working on the house all day.
Did you hear the term ectoplasm?
Well, since early this morning.
You know what ectoplasm is?
Yeah, no.
Ectoplasm.
It doesn't exist, does it?
No, sure it exists. You're painting over it. The stuff on the wall was ectoplasm. The slop, as you call it, was ectoplasm. And like I said, I don't know if you watched my or watched the guided meditations I do.
I can't get this paint perfect right now. I just with the stuff with the rug on the floor.
Well, if you put the plastic underneath the rug, and then you'd be fine. But that's okay. And you don't need to have things perfect, because what is perfect? What is perfect? Perfect is a subjective term.
Hi. What?
I said perfect is a subjective term. I mean, there is no perfect. The only perfect there is love's co-creation. Everything else is an illusion. And what you're covering up here is ectoplasm, meaning when I do my guided meditations, I take the chorus, and once they go into state, they become the shock troops of love. And when they illuminate themselves and bring forth the photonic light from the mitosis of their cell, they take that light through their imaginary mirror and bring it into their subconscious mind, which is not a scary place where monsters live, but it's a library, their Akashic record. Anyway, one of the first things I do when the librarian brings their Akashic record to them is they basically eliminate or evacuate all of the anger, the hate, self-loathing, envy, anxiety out of themselves and become their truer self, right? And at night, when I am asleep, basically all the, what did you call it, slop, is the ectoplasm of that anger and hate that's like down deep, like on the edge, like crusted in, and that's what causes dis-ease.
I'm gonna get a screwdriver. Be right back.
Okay. So this is my little cell, right? And again, the walls, when I sleep, I kind of evacuate that ectoplasm. And when you're asleep, you're not really conscious, but you can be. I can be more, while I'm asleep, conscious of what's going on. And so I will, from now on, evacuate into a what do you, a Kleenex. Kind of like when you masturbate and the cum is all over everyone, and you take the Kleenex and you clean it off your rod, but see, this ain't that. That's your semen, your seed. And the more you masturbate, the more you wear out your the battery. When we kind of
you get more.
yeah, but to
Some
make
people keep doing it in their 70s.
no, not that you can't do it, John. It's that you shouldn't do it that much. Masturbation isn't evil, isn't bad. It's fine.
It goes along with testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, when people have more testosterone,
They masturbate more.
They have a bigger sex drive.
They masturbate more. Boo 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 boo. Anyway, but when you ejaculate, and because it's not, there's nothing wrong with masturbating and then not ejaculating, right? Because then you're not losing your seed, and that seed is very valuable, and so you shouldn't just throw it around like in a piece of Kleenex. But
what are you talking about?
Spring cleaning.
Why?
Spring cleaning. This is my morning chat.
Some people don't agree with that.
Well, if they don't agree with it, they just don't have to watch it. That's the beauty of the good old YouTube. You don't like this? I look at a lot of things, and I don't. If I don't like watching it, I don't watch it. You done, John?
Pretty much.
He's done. This was spring cleaning. We took. What did you call it? Jizz?
No.
What did you call it?
I wouldn't clean that up.
Crud? What did you call it? Crap?
What
was the word you used?
Slop.
Slop. That's it. Slop. And so that was, the energetics of my sleep, eliminating that energy. But I don't worry about that. What I worry about is what's right in front of me, right? Every day and every way I take the piece of the earth and I make it stronger. I don't worry about, if there's an aesthetic issue, yeah, I'll look at it. I'll go from there. But,
I'm gonna throw this paint out and this brush. I'm done.
Why don't you put it back in the can?
No.
Okay. There's jazz there. And that's the beauty of life. Co-creation. That's what those guys are doing. They're co-creating. Right? Then we go out here. Hey, puppy dog. Here's puppy dog. Right, there's puppy dog. It's a sweet puppy. This guy's a puppy. He's going to be a giant. He's only maybe 4 or 5 months old. And look at those paws. Puppy. Yes. He's a puppy. But it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. And this is what life's about. Enjoying this. Not fretting over slop. Now, John has painted my little cell with any kind of, and then I'm going to have to, breathe that. Hey, hey, John, don't put it so he drinks that shit. So John had a little bit of paint, which he could have poured back into the bucket, but because he was painting the slop. And again, John is the canary in the coal mine, the metaphor of humanity, the simulator of life. You can just watch what people go through. Just go to John's channel, John Birmingham, and watch, he's been on it for, maybe since 2006 or whenever it started. I go watch those, you know. And what's his most popular one? Him being Ronald McDonald. But people should see it because it is an excellent primer on human behavior, you know. So am I, you know. No, I'm just an old homeless guy. Time, right? So, John, how many meals a day do I cook for you?
I don't know.
Like 2, like morning breakfast, right? We have morning breakfast and then evening
We
dinner.
have been for the past few days.
How about the past 2.5 years? Whenever I'm here,
I don't know.
and so what do you say every time you eat food? That's amazing.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Pretty much
Usually, sometimes.
every time, right? But he doesn't remember the last meal I gave him. Like he just said, I don't know. Last few days, I've been cooking for him for the last 2.5 years and shopping for him, buying all the food, right? Back to, yes, he throws me a few dollars. And yes, I stay here. But, you know, back when I had to practice, I took care of people and I used to get, you know, $2,000 and $3,000 a week for doing this. But see, things are transactional. I mean, I try not to, like, I don't call you subscribers, you know, you're my cadre. And I try to, like last night, I went the extra mile. I did a really good chat and you guys were amazing in response. And that's what made that chat great, right? The co-creation, you know. I wasn't doing something, you weren't paying me money, I was going to give you a certificate. No, we created that together. But in the egoless ego way, it was a transactional situation. And that kind of, just like, you know, if you're living here in this world, in this illusion of Lucifer, you know, you have to have an ego. That's like the rudder for your avatar, right? For your bag of water, for your mud puppet. And the more that you're conscious of everything you do and every day and every way that you're conscious. And part of that is moving on this, you know, when you see this, you know, John walked up and he was like unconscious of the beauty because he's just focusing about cleaning, you know, because he's gotten into this mode and he's switched one thing like, I want to be with Danica, you know, and she split from him 14 years ago, got a divorce like 11 years ago. Who's there? Who's there? Huh? Who's there, puppy dog? Yes. Buddy. My buddy. Anyway, so I'm a dog boy if you haven't figured out. See, look, they just love to sit with me. You know, they're not looking for food. It's not transactional. What's great about dogs is their unconditional loving. I mean, all they want to do is sit by you, lick your hand, play. I mean, these guys aren't to ball. They haven't gone in catch. Come here, Daisy. But here's Daisy, right? And she was kind of a little abused dog, and then our neighbor got him, and she was probably 4, so she already had some issues. But, and then he would, you know, kind of pick her up and play with her like a doll. And see, this is the best thing about these guys. They play. Hey, dog, hey. That cat's gonna tear you a new one. Get away. Hey, both of you guys, over there. Hey, over there. Over there. Get away from the cat. Hey, do I have to tie you down? Hey, come here. Good day. Good boy. So, and that's the meaning to life. Hey, dog. Hey, dog. See, that dog doesn't know its name. He's going to get his ass chewed by that cat. And that dog doesn't realize that that cat is just trying to lead him into a place he can't get out of. She was safe, and she will put a scar across his face like nobody's business. Whereas this dog is going the other way and lying down and going in with the back to the seeming, hey, dog, hey, buddy, come here. Okay. Yes. Anyway, so it's a beautiful day. All is fine. All is good. John is moving on to the next neuroses. And again, it's something I can observe. It's something I can try to assist, to ameliorate, talk to him, listen to him. But I've been cooking for food. I've been going downtown, getting his mail, his packages. John doesn't represent, like, he's not an agoraphobic. He's not this. He's not that. He's like the smorgasbord. He's like a Swedish buffet. And it goes together to make John Birmingham. And so the dog just got whacked by the cat. Yes, what did you learn, dog? Did you learn anything? He's here being fun. He's like, just ran back because the cat nearly cut him a new one. Daisy, don't even think about it. You okay, Black Cat? Yes. Yes. The Black Cat is just, come on, boys. Let me scratch your eyes out. And that's what a cat is, right? I mean, not all cats, just like not all dogs. Like Daisy. If your average person saw Daisy before the puppy showed up, they'd say that's a bitchy dog, because little dogs have issues. And then people, mistreat them. They don't mistreat big dogs that much, unless they do. But see, you give an animal love, and animal love comes back to you. So, since I've been hanging out with these dogs for the last month, and I don't give them food, because, John gives them food. And so now that's why they stay up here. If you just give them love and attention and fun, they come up for that, and then they'll go. Give them food, they stick around and beg. So, looking at now, whoops. No, we lost sitting outside. Okay. I'm going to go in. Yes, puppy. Oh! Anyway. So that's about 20 minutes. That's probably long enough for let's see, who's here? Who's chatting? I'm wearing my spring rainbow outfit. A242. Nat. So did you catch my little thing about slop and jizz and the beauty of life and springtime and dogs and cats? So 242, how long have you been watching Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei El Bob? I mean, now there's two of us. Let's have you and Nat and me. Let's have a little conversation about the channel. What do you like best? What do you want more of? What do you want me to do that you don't see me doing? So last night was a good chat because it was on for about 3 hours plus. And I talked about a lot of stuff. So I would love it. Everyone who's watching this and who's going to come on tonight, and I'd love to see you, 242 tonight on the chat. You know, I try and start around 7:30 o'clock p.m. and go on until my voice gives out. This is my, oh. Well, there's a lot of meaning to life, you know, and the meaning to life is moment by moment, not an expectation and not a neglect, right? Oh, I wish I didn't do that. Oh, well, if you did something that you didn't like, well, don't do it again. Most people do it over and over and over again. And dogs are a great, what's mirror of that habitualization with their owner and the people who are around them, because all they want is attention. And the thing, and see, dogs are like a 7-year-old human child. I mean, once they get to be 3 or 4 or 5 years, right? In that they will do the same thing over and over to get a response, any response. And so if you like whipping them or being mean to them, they will think that's the kind of, attention. That's the only attention they're going to get. Well, they'll do more of that terrible thing, chew up the couch, whatever, shit on your bed, because they'll get some attention. But right off the bat, with so I've had a lot of dogs, and I've worked in kennels. I've been around the bitch when she has her pup, and see, as soon as the pup pops out, the attachments and branding of what's going on comes out. So if you give that dog, like I had a dog, her name was Bella. She was the best. She was way smarter than I was. I saved her life. I mean, I'm a dog boy, but I'm a dog boy enough to be happy to interact with all dogs. I'm like the dog whisperer, but I'm not Hispanic. I am black, but melanin challenged. I am an African American that's melanin challenged. And so I was doing my demographic gig in 96, 7, 8, somewhere around there. And I was in the Cherokee area. And I had earlier, about 6 years before, had worked for the Cherokee, putting together. They have a written language, and it goes all the way back. And a lot of other indigenous people have a written language, but the Europeans said they don't, because it wasn't in English or Spanish or Latin. It was in their own language. And the Spanish burned that stuff up like you can't believe. Just like Nero, when, the fires of the Library of Alexander, and all at once, it wasn't like the Huns were coming in and burned everything. No, Nero, how he burnt up Rome was Nero was reading all of Alexander's papers that were on parchment and in rolls, and he'd read them, and he would use them to heat the water of his bath, right? He thought he would become smarter he'd read it or read some of it and then burn it and then take a bath and think that it would get into him and make him smart or make him like Alexander. And that's kind of the level of your average human. They'll think that just because they're king, they think they know everything. Let's see. I actually found you through the video where you were disclosing the crone and the story from your time in Ireland. So 242, did you see that on John Birmingham's channel and then found me, or did you find that on my channel and then came? Yeah, the Cherokee Nation. That's Oklahoma. They were, the Trail of Tears, that whole story, right? So, but anyway, I found myself in the northwestern part of North Carolina, right on the edge of Tennessee, and on 1927, going west. And I was looking at the demographics of that whole area. Some developer wanted to do this, and they wanted to know about the roads and the power and blah, 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 blah. And I used to do that. And it gave me access to a lot of information, and they paid me pretty good. And nobody was, I was in a car that they gave me, and I just driving everywhere. Anyway, so I was driving this back road, I think I was in Tennessee. It was right on the Nolichucky River or the French Broad. There's a lot of water up there. That's where the TVA has lots of dams and lots of power plants and stuff. So I was like looking at that. A lot of national forests, a lot of great camping, a lot of canoeing, if you're an outdoors guy, that's the place to be. So anyway, I was doing my job, stopping though to see the beauty, put up my hammock, have a book, read it, swing in it. And I'd always kind of have a place to go, but sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I stayed the night in the woods. So it was a very nice job. Nobody was telling me. I wrote up my raw reports. I kind of emailed them in. They put money in my bank account. And I had a kind of little debit card that they would fill to, buy gas and food and lodging while I was working. And so they could see exactly, I didn't even have to write an expense account. That was it. So anyway, that was the only kind of feedback I ever got, except, when I put in my report, even that I wouldn't get too much. They just give me another gig to go look at. And I would have a little feedback here and there, but not much. So anyway, I'm driving along and I'm not out on a main road, out on a back road. And I'm going through it and I'm kind of lost. And I don't have a smartphone and I, they weren't even invented. I don't think like I said, it's in the 95 to 6 or 7. And I'm looking at a map and I'm good with maps and I'm looking at it, but I'm not, I'm just kind of driving and looking at the map. There's no traffic. And I kind of roll up on a pretty long bridge, concrete bridge over a big wetlands and a river in between. Pretty big river and a lot of rushing water. And there's this kind of, country boy, probably in his, he was graying. He was probably in his 50s. And he was limping and he was, kind of messed up. And he had a burlap bag and was like jumping around, like it was a bag of snakes, or something. Anyway, and he's like on the driver's side. So I kind of roll up, stop, and my window's open and say, "Yo, what are you doing?" And he goes, "What?" I said, "What's in the bag?" And he goes, "Oh." And he comes over and he opens it up and there were these 2 cutest little dogs. One was blacker than black and had a diamond on her chest bone. And the other was kind of like that guy, black and white and dots and things all over. But they were obviously Labradors, obviously border collies, and obviously something else. And I said, "What are you going to do with those?" And he goes, "I'm going to throw them in the river." I said, "What?" He said, "I'm just looking for something to tie them up so they can't get out." I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, I want them. I'm just going to throw them in the river and drown them." "What?" And after I said "what" for the 5th time, he goes, What? And I said, "You're going to kill puppies?" "Yeah, I don't want them." So we'll take them to the pound. "Oh, that's, in town, 30 miles. I'm just going to throw them in the river." And that was the consciousness of folk who are dead. And it's not just country folk like that, but it's a lot of people. I saw corporate guys like this. I saw a corporate guy. I was a HMO was looking at drugs, right? Pain, this, that, this, and they wanted to be able to basically charge, because HMOs make their money on visits and procedures and drugs, right? And if they can roll all one, those 3 into one thing and charge for the different 3, but only spend the time on one, that's like the trifecta for these guys, right? And that's why our medical system, we pay more than anybody else, and we're like, 45th. You know, Zimbabwe has better medicine than we do. Anyway, so, and in that scene, they were talking about OxyContin back in 90 something. And they didn't even give it the OxyContin and oxycodone and other names. Those are all like Kleenex, like a brand, right? But the chemical itself, the medicine itself, was done by this company. And these guys were, and they had a drug company, right? That they, pretended they weren't part of, and they got all their drugs. And anyway, in this meeting, they were talking about these drugs that they were really not good, but they were going to make a lot of money because they were really, they didn't heal anyone. They didn't make anything better, but it kind of covered up the problem. And painkillers were a serious thing because the workforce was getting to a certain age, just like this guy on the bridge. He probably worked in a factory and did the same repetitive thing over and over and over for like 10 years and wore himself out, and then had an accident, fell down, and he got a little disability, and then they started giving him, a painkiller, and bingo, there he is. So I said, what, and I'm looking in the bag, and one of them's like, what? The bag is roaming around. It was like, had no, it was just wanted to get out of there, wanted to run around, wanted to, it's a puppy. The other one looked straight up at me and like right in my eyes and said, get me the fuck out of here. I'll do anything. I'll be your bed. Get me out of here. You can leave this moron, but get me out of here. So I said to the guy, so can I have those puppies? You want those? Sure. Put them in my car, right? And I drove away. Didn't say anything more to him, right? And once we kind of got down the road, I kind of rolled up all the windows. And I, opened up the bag and let him out. And they were, Bella came right over, sat in the chair right next to me, and looked at me and right at me and go, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And the other one was like bouncing off my steering wheel and the ceiling and jumping in the back and looking for something to eat. And, anyway, so I rode up a couple miles. So I found a very nice little place to pull off, right? And my car always has everything you need, right? I hadn't a dog, but I kind of found a piece of rope. So I tied the two dogs together, right? And so they, if one tried to and I named them, one Bella and the other Stupid. because as soon as I started talking to Bella as Bella, she knew that was her name. Oh, Bella, that's me. Yeah, okay. I like that name. That's great. That's a beautiful name. And I found it on John's, I believe. And John's like, he's got, I don't know, 20, 30, 40,000, maybe 20,000 subscribers and like 5 million views because he's been on since 2006. Right? So the algorithm, if you put in, old crone, bingo, that will come there. And for a good year, he made because my stories were he has 20, 30, 40 of me telling a story, doing a shamanic ceremony, doing that kind of stuff. And the first, this is a Jimi Hendrix story, this story, that story, all the stories. And they all have 70, 80, 90,000 views. But since I put up my channel, people kind of come there because I tell the same story, but much better and way deeper and not being interrupted by John. But John still, like, if I talk right now, it's 35 minutes. I say if I continue to talk until an hour, John will come down and like push my head out of the way and go, hey, how you doing? I don't know whether I should go back with Danica and not, and he'll go on about that. And it's so hard to go to Texas, blah, 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 blah. And I just cleaned this lap over. I don't know why a human would be that. And I try to explain it that when I sleep, like 242, you should. I hope you will come to the evening, to this channel in the evenings between 7:30 and 8. And then we have a live chat. And, I might even do a guided meditation this morning just to show you how it works. And I take folks into their Akashic record. And then from there, we go into the universe and to meditate. I used to teach corporate people how to meditate. Oh, I can't meditate. All it is quieting down the squirrel in your brain. And again, if you want to see a perfect example of the squirrel in the iron cage of the Rolodex of your mind isn't where your soul is. It's just a Rolodex. And the fact that they've spent so much energy to wire into your head, 5G, nanotechnology, nanodust, chemtrails, all of this is to capture, your smartphone, your laptop, your big screen, the internet. It's all to capture your mind because they think that they control your mind. They'll control you. They'll own you, but not your soul. Sorry. That's somewhere else. See, this bag of water is just a avatar. It's just a bag of water, right? And in, alchemy, so 242, what I am is I have spent my whole life being a scholar from birth to today, right? So many, many times I've spent at least a third of my life in, libraries, and really special libraries that they don't just let any Tom, Dick, or Harry go in, right? And if you watch the old Crone story, that's where I met the old Crone. I was sent off to Trinity in Dublin, and I was studying Celtic history and lore, and ancient lore, and ancient occult law, and a good portion of the Library of Alexandria was spirited out of Rome and taken to Ireland. Anyway, that's, if you have read that story, you'll find that that's where I was. Anyway, so John, this school used to be my school. I bought it from Inga Solanovich. Her husband, George Solanovich, and her came here in the 50s, bought this 100 acres or so. They fixed up the old homestead, and then they built the school. They wanted to have a school, and then they built little cabins, and they rented them out. And this school is pretty amazing. Again, if you go on John Birmingham's channel, he's, Mr. Real Estate, so he's like, the home fix-up network. So John got this place. If you watch my yesterday afternoon, it was about stuff, right? And I showed you, we have a thing down below. It's like a big garage, and it's about 30 feet wide, about 60 feet long, about 20 feet high, big open. And it's what's amazing. It's got a roof and two sides, but the two ends are open, and it never gets wet. And half the roof ripped off, and still the stuff in there, my stuff, didn't get wet. So anyway, I went down there because John has been going on and on about fixing the roof. And I kept saying, oh, don't worry about it. And so, and kind of, it's like the Huckleberry Finn story, where Huck starts painting, he's been tasked to paint the fence, and he doesn't want to do it. And his buddies, the rich kids go, what are you doing? I said, oh, I'm doing a really fun thing. You can't do it. What do you mean you can't do it? Oh, it's too much fun. You're stupid. You don't deserve that. What is it? What is it? I said, here, you take the paintbrush, you go like this, and you cover everything. This called whitewash. That is the most fun. It's straight out of, Brer Rabbit, And so that's, John does things, John doesn't do anything and unless he's motivated by a neuroses. And so, we had a couple of big storms, and he saw the metal kind of fly off, and went down there and, put it under a rock so it wouldn't, right? Anyway, so I went down there to do that video yesterday about stuff, about paring down, about having nothing. I mean, right now, my life, I have nothing. I own nothing, but I still live here because I sold this to John 2.5 years ago, right? It was full of that stuff, right? So it took 3 or 4 months to move it over there, right? And that was part of the deal. And in that time, John was doing whatever he was doing, but he was also, going, if you watch the videos on his channel, you can see. I mean, that's what's great about John. He doesn't realize he is putting his total everything on the show. And he's basically wants attention. So but he's putting on the World Wide Web, and go watch it. Like I said, he's a a simulator of what's going on in humanity. If you want to know, he's the canary in the coal mine. He's the mirror. So anyway, I was here and I'm getting rid of this stuff and going through it kind of. But John was like, "What's that? Oh, what's that? Oh, can I have that?" And yeah, I gave him half the stuff. And, anyway, because I didn't want it, and it was a way of letting go. But in that process of being around that kind of energy, and if you go to John Birmingham's channel, you will see it. There is no hiding it. You will. And John wants to make money out of that, and then. So he kept. I mean, he does not have a life. He has to. He's talking to you there, and he has to put his phone in front of it and videotape it, and then look at it on the screen. Right. Again, he represents 80% of humanity that's doing that. So and he is like been swooped up, and he blames everybody but himself. And, he blames his parents, blames me, blames everybody, blames his, The one person he doesn't blame is Danica, his wife, his ex, who's like, go look at her channel. Woo-wee. I want to talk about somebody who's like off the wee. I mean, she's got a show that she buys these dolls, right? I mean, it's something out of the Twilight Zone. Go see it. Danica, go to John's channel, and he's got her like primary right up there. Go look at her. And it's hard to find me. I mean, if you are a good navigator of YouTube, you can find. So I have about 40 shows, and they're all. If you go look at all his shows, he's got one working out. He's got one talking about this or that, and it's got it's been on there for 3 years, and it's got 40, 50 shows. But he does have 5 million or 50 million views, right? And he does have 20, 30, 40,000 subscribers, right? So he's deep in the algorithm. And that's why 242, you found me on his channel because you probably put in something like that and that came up. So for those first few months, he videotaped everything, right? Without asking me, without saying, hey, I'm going to put this on the internet. Is that okay with you? And he put it up, and I tell stories like this all the time. I'm a griot. That's what I do. When I try and help people, I tell them a story so it goes in their little head and it runs around. And it shuts the squirrel up. But John, it doesn't have an effect. It does on a certain level. He fixed that roof. He painted my room. But those things didn't need to do that. It shouldn't have been on the top of his laundry list. The top of his laundry list. It's a beautiful day. Go back and watch the rest of this, and you'll see what a beautiful day it was, right? That should be on the top of his list. Those dogs are really sweet and nice. You should sit in the chair I do. They come to you, they put their head on your knee, and you kind of get that love, and you give that love. And when you do that, when you have that, osmosis kind of symbiotic relationship with another entity, that's what really makes your soul feel good. That's why you like having a boyfriend or girlfriend or friends, because you do that thing, right? But once you get that relationship into a transactional relationship, and Freud called it the joking relationship. He said that the most toxic relationship is when people are intimate, they get to know them, they know where all their sits and pimples are. And then, things start to annoy them. And so they start to, Bob is fat. He really is fat. Not only is he fat, he's stupid, Yes, Susie, she's a whore, plus she doesn't give it up to me or her husband, but she's screwing everybody else, they start joking about it. They don't scream and yell at each other. They just do it. Oh, that was just a joke. Until, Susie poisons Larry and Larry shoots Susie, and that's kind of how that rolls. And the only way you get away from that habitual activity is if you're aware, if you're awake. Okay, let's see. I might have to put another pair of glasses. I can't even read this shit. I actually found you through. Okay. John. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Let's see what else here. I haven't truly watched much videos. I was focused on. Oh, I can't see that. I was focused on. Yep, the word crone. Yep. John really understands the technology. So he does that. He just doesn't understand being a human being, except for what, his pain and his response to that pain. Pain's not a bad thing. I'm an old guy and, I've had a long life and I've broken this and done that and smashed this. And then, when I got to be about 50 and I thought the world, it was like, screw this, I'm just going to have a good time. And I started working in the corporate world, which I kind of worked on the edge of, but I was just their scholar. I would write things for them. But I started doing, I read people extraordinarily well. And so I worked for desperate lawyers in negotiating things where they were the ombudsman. And they put me in the room and got people to sign the bottom line. And they paid me really well for that. And so I did that for about 10 years. And I went from a pretty simple life of a scholar to doing that. And, I went from maybe having 800 calories a day and being in somewhat good shape to, eating 20,000 calories. And when I died, so John,
Yeah.
What's a healthy diet?
Hey, a healthy diet can be a variety of things. Foods, not the Whole Foods grocery store, but whole foods as they occur in nature. And water as the primary source of liquids. A variety of fruits, vegetables, nuts, legumes, and proteins, meats.
So
if you eat meat.
So I would say one of the most important things about
and grains and stuff like
that is that you as the individual would go into the store and connect with the food you're going to eat. Do you do that? Do you go down to Kroger's?
Yeah, sometimes.
Who of this household, who's the person who does most of the shopping for food?
Yeah. No.
Right? Me, right? I go down there, right? Or do you go down there? Do you go? So your car, do you like your car?
It's not even really mine. I'm borrowing it from my parents.
Right.
I don't really have a car.
So if you were to buy your car, what kind of car would you have?
Well, I'd either get a very cheap, reliable one.
But that's what that car is. I thought you liked the really sexy cars. I
don't know if I care about
like your Cadillac. Tell the people about your Cadillac. What was your Cadillac?
I don't know if I care about cool cars anymore, but sometimes it's tempting, but it's a little too much. But here and there, I might get tempted to think they're cool.
Right. So where was the last place you bought toilet paper, John?
Amazon. I bought 2 huge boxes of it.
Mm-hmm. So pretty much you get everything from Amazon, right?
Well, I can go in the grocery store, but it's a little nerve-wracking sometimes.
What's wrong? What's nerve-wracking?
Unless I'm just getting a few things that I need. Maybe that's what I have to do is just go there and get a few things, but then I'd have to go a lot.
Right, because I go most of the time. I all those oranges, I bought all those bananas, I bought all the chicken, all the steak, all the everything that you have as dinner for the last 2.5 years. I pretty much go and get, and I buy the best food because I energetically hold it. I don't get any processed food.
You don't get organic food. You don't believe in it from your
generation. No, because the bottom line about that, there is no, unless you grow your own food under a nursery glass house, it's all the same because the crap that's coming out of the air, the rain that's falling on, and the ground that it's in is poisoned, and it's all you have to do is your homework because good old
You just
guys
don't
who
believe in organic.
No, I do, because John, I have at the Deep Green a greenhouse that I grow my own food.
Yeah, that's the best.
I'm a real organic farmer.
You're
But
growing your own.
so here's the story about 10 years ago, maybe even
But
longer.
you buy all the conglomerate food at the grocery
Because that's
store
all there is.
with the
Even
chemicals.
so, I went to Kroger's, right? And
But it doesn't hurt you that bad.
No.
That badly.
But the difference, you know, and we have a co-op that I used to be part of back in the day when
it's not
the
that
co-op,
bad.
the people who were members of the co-op unloaded the truck, right? And we would have, meetings about what we were going to buy,
How's it going?
you know? And, and we were, we had gardens, the Roanoke, Google Roanoke Gardening, and Grandin Garden and Grandin Co-op. And it was a community. This is like back in 98 to 2004 or 5. And the co-op now is like Whole Foods, right? It's all fancy. It's painted. It's a corporate thing in itself. They belong to a co-op community that is a corporation, and that co-op downtown is more part of that corporation. How do I know? I was on their board. That's kind of how I know, right? Bob Yupty-Doo, he still is the president, and that's that place. And no one are they're members, but they aren't in the back cleaning the slop. They're not unloading the truck. They have employees to do that. So,
and they're not making slop on things. They have more.
John, whenever you move food, whenever you cut up things, whenever you have slop, period.
Some people don't make a mess as they go as much. They're not discussing. They're
John, have you ever worked in a John? Have you ever worked in a restaurant? John, have you ever worked in a restaurant?
When you cook, there's a mess.
Have you ever worked in a restaurant? Have you ever worked?
It's no big deal. You have you're a good person, and you got me to be a kind person. I don't know why we're telling the public, other than it's a good way to try to make a living. And it's
this isn't. I don't do this to make a living. This is a service to the cadre. This isn't making a living. This is giving a point of reference for the human race to see what's going on today. What's today's date? April 17th, 2019. At about what time is it? April 17th. 2019 at 2:17 p.m. That's what this is. This is a frame of reference. So tonight I'm going to make a nice chicken dinner, chicken Alfredo with mushrooms. Does that sound good, John? Hey, John, what do we have for breakfast? What did I make you for breakfast today?
Eggs or something like that. Eggs.
The whole time you were saying
guacamole, French toast.
Yep, guacamole, French toast. Yeah,
guacamole, French toast. Some sort of a
omelet,
sour cream thing that went along.
Omelet, sour cream omelet.
It was pretty good.
And he said it was amazing. He said, "It's amazing. It's the best thing I've ever had. Oh, it's amazing."
Because I had been painting the whole day in here.
No, we had breakfast before you started painting.
I had already finished painting that thing right there and something else. I'll talk about it later. And I took a break, and then once we ate, and then I finally got some breakfast.
Yeah.
The details like that don't matter that much. I don't want to argue.
This ain't an argument, John. This is a conversation.
I'm gonna look at the work in here, see what it looks like.
Let's look at it. It's better. Let's take a look.
Still, no big deal.
It looks great, John. You did a great job. This is great. This is great. You gonna hit it again, or are you gonna?
Sideways. You got it sideways.
Yeah, that's okay. Doesn't matter. I can put it upside down. It don't matter. Right?
Wait.
Hey,
that's not that good.
Hey, we're upside down.
Laptop.
It's a laptop.
Upside down.
Why? It's not going to hurt it. And John he gave me this laptop for my birthday. He's really a great guy. Because YouTube kind of said, "Oh, you can't do live chats on your phone anymore. You got to do it on a laptop." So you're going to do some more paint?
No.
You're all done.
No. Yeah, I'm gonna do something else today. I don't know what.
But you're not gonna. So I'm gonna put this fan here so I can move the fumes out of that room.
It's low fumes. I didn't use the oil-based primer.
It still
Hey.
has
Whoa.
a chelate in it that will take your blood into another planet.
He walked off. It's just me and a bunch of people watching. Hi. Hey. Oh. Hey. Hi, Carlton and the other person.
So did you change any codes or anything? Did you mess with the
No.
YouTube channel? Or?
Why? Why would I do that?
Were you tapping? Was he tapping on the keyboard? We have these things called umpalumps up here on the hill, and they are kind of ghosts or aliens, and they are kind of bits left over
Right.
from the old days, and 242. If you really
Whoa.
like the old crone thing, that this energy was here because indigenous people, I forgot who said, what indigenous people are. They are called the first people, meaning they were here before.
Barack Hussein Obama probably liked them. Oh man, Barack Hussein Obama. That's what I think, y'all. You're a anti-government BS.
Anyway, so the umpalumps are spirit guides. Anyway, I told you that John Boy would come on down, and why I do this, I shamanically spin up the platform before I go live, right? And so I inject into the chat this shamanic energy. And 242, if you go back, so I have almost more, we're heading towards 600 shows, right? And I started doing this last May 8th, and I was out in the deep green, had no access. When I allowed the deep green, has nothing, no internet, no TV, no cell phone, no nothing, right? And out in the middle, I'm 40 miles the closest anybody else. There's no light coming from the supermarket parking lot. There's no pollution coming from a nearby factory. Now there's a shit pulling out of the sky. There's a lot of great water. There's 2 big rivers and a waterfall in my backyard going to a gigantic lake that has a coastline of the lake is 1,200 miles. And it is an amazing thing. And I live in a 200 square mile swatch of Appalachian poverty. Everyone there is like, but 40 miles this way, big college town, Johnson City, Tennessee, ETSU, really rich people. 30 miles to the south of me is Boone, North Carolina, another big North Carolina big school, maybe 20,000 kids, right? That's a very rich, there are all these retirement things on top of the mountains and they're skiing there. But it's this narrow valley, and they have a concrete plant at one end and an asphalt plant at the other. And it's like toxic, like you can't believe. And 30 something years ago, I used to lecture when it was a little teeny teaching school, and they had 1,500 students, and it was a beautiful little town. It was just the cutest little, amazing, beautiful town. And they built this gigantic school because it has skiing, and all the hipster kids want to go skiing instead of being out in Colorado. They go there, and the state makes a lot of money off it. I mean, a state student pays maybe I think $4,000 to go to that school. Out of state student, which about 90% of those kids are, maybe even more, uh, pay something like $60,000 a semester, right? And either mommy and daddy is going into hock for that, or the kids are. And it's so for me to make a cell phone call, I have to go to that town. I have to travel 30 miles. And the best place for my phone to work is in the IHOP. And the IHOP is kind of in the middle of the campus because it used to be part of the town. And then the campus just got grew and grew and grew. And if you're not a student that pays $300 a semester for a sticker, they tow your car away and you have to pay $600 to get your car. But all I do is go into IHOP, have breakfast, and then, you know, go have fun on that campus. They have a really pretty good, pretty underlined library, and a pretty good, they have, they have sociology, psychology. I am a, shamanic, psychosocial, cultural, forensic anthropology, and all those disciplines are represented at school pretty good. And I've roamed into them all, and walked in on the people who run it, the chairs of these departments, and not, a couple of them felt threatened, and other felt, wow, there's a kindred spirit. There's, nobody like you here. So a good portion of that school, I went to the president and kind of enamored myself to him. He calls up security. Hey, this is guy, he's got a big white beard, kind of looks like Santa Claus on crack. Don't arrest him. He's here. He's okay. I'm giving him the okay. The same thing with ETSU. It's so much bigger. I don't have to worry about that. Meaning it's there isn't that yet there, that overseer kind of look, right? And those kids at ETSU are smart. They're there for a reason. All those departments are excellent. And they're not just pretty good. They're excellent. So that's me. I'm like in the most amazing poverty. Like you could think of the kind of poverty you used to see on TV in the 70s when Sally Struthers used to go, oh, this little baby, let Jesus heal him. Send us $1,000 and we'll give you a plastic cross. And we promise to kind of give it to this kid. That's my neighborhood. My neighborhood is these people who are obese. They all are living on food stamps. But instead of buying vegetables, there is if I go, I don't know, 40 something miles to my county seat, Saturday, these people have a real farmer's market, meaning the people who grow their own food organically, really organically, come and sell it there. And what's really beautiful about that, I get about $50 food stamps. And instead of buying crap, I basically use it at that farmer's market because you slide it on somebody's cell phone and hit it in, and so I have my $40-$50 worth of food stamps. They will give me 4 times. So instead of having $40-$50, I'll have $200. And they're, I buy this real beautiful organic eggplant that you could almost eat like an apple. And instead of costing like at the co-op that John, and I live with John. So I'm kind of like that guy, or that girl, who always talks about their ex or the boyfriend or girlfriend who's going to be the ex, and everyone knows it but them. And so John, I'll go to Kroger's and he'll lambaste me. Oh, what? Tell me Kroger's. Oh, they're corporate. My father is wired. Oh, the psychics, they know what I'm doing. Oh, and I have to deal with that virtually 6 times a day at some point. But the other time, oh, I love you, never leave. And that would drive most people insane. Me, I'm just kind of taking notes. To me, this is a simulator, meaning it's kind of spinning me up with experience that because I used to be a shrink and I kind of put it off to the side for about 30 years. And I'm not going to hang up my shingle anymore, but I'm going to, again, be that shamanic, psychosocial, cultural, forensic, anthropologic alchemist. What is that? Shamanism. What is shamanism? That is the energetics of your community. And that's all our relations. When I say all our relations, I don't just mean humans. I'm talking about cold-blooded, warm-blooded, scaled, feathered, furred, that's all, insects, you know where your soul is, where your brain is, where your consciousness is. You know where it is? I'll show you. It's right here, your gut. You hear people go, boy, I had this gut feeling. We've got like a billion little creatures living in there that are actually individual creatures with a consciousness. And, that's why you should take care of them. That's why when you take antibiotics, it kills them all, and then your body can't work, right? And that's why you get, basically antibiotic resistant bugs because of that. Because you take the bug, you take the antibiotic, goes in your body, you shit it in the toilet goes in the sewer goes into the processing goes out to the stream, out to the ocean. And yes, it takes certain level of crap out of that crap, but not down on that level. Not on the microbe, right? Micron, cellular, atoms, and all of those things have an effect. So, if you grow your own food, if you connect to it energetically, shaman. So, to understand someone's psychology, you got to understand the psychosocial cultural forensic, right? Anthropologic, right? So, to understand that psychology, you got to understand their social, what their orientations are, their job, this, their religion, what sexual stuff they like, all of that. That's sociology. Then culturally, you have to, that is like where grandma came from. So what foods you eat, what grandma makes for you, how your holidays, whether you have Shabbat or whether you have, what you celebrate, Christmas, or, Muslims have that holiday where they fast for like days, just in the afternoon. Anyway, and that's culturally. Forensic is when you take that stuff and you take it apart, you pull all the strings out and you look where everything comes from. You look like linguistically, what words and where those words came from, the etymology of things. And then anthropologically, anthropology is the discipline where you look at all of those things without prejudice. You take your prejudice glasses off. When people tell me their opinions, what I believe in, and if you don't believe what I'm going to have to kill you because, my God tells me to do that. No, sorry. That's a belief. What is a belief? But an opinion. And what is an opinion? Something like an asshole. We all have them, right? So I don't believe in anything, and I don't want you to believe anything I tell you, but you should do. I tell, I'm a griot. I tell stories, and those stories, so we've been talking here now for how long? An hour and 9 minutes, right? And I've been all over the place. And if you jumped in the pool at any point, what the heck is this guy talking about? But if you stay there long enough, or you start like 242, you've been here for almost the whole show. What did you get from this? In the 242, you're great because I can ask you, hey, Bill, good to see you, buddy. What is your impression on my griot sensibility? Right? I've told you a 1,000 different things that are kind of, those threads are like this, right? Talked about Bella, but I never said, anything other than how I found her, but not the big story of Bella. Which if you like the old Crone story, you'll like the Bella story. And I've told you a whole bunch of stories that, if you liked any bit of them, I will come around if you keep watching. And also, I have almost 600 shows. So go on, you're on the channel, go to that time and go to videos and look at all those things. And don't look at them like from the beginning to the end or the end to the beginning. Just, it's like a roulette wheel, just kind of hit your finger on those videos and go and watch that one. And watch it for a minute or two, and then take that little red line at the bottom of the screen and kind of move it all the way almost to the end, and then the chat will the whole chat will show up, right? And read that chat, and you can read that chat like this chat. You can read it in 3, 4, 5, 10 minutes, right? And then if what you saw for the first few minutes and then what you saw on the chat kind of interests you, go back to the beginning and watch it, and that's how to watch this channel, right? I will absolutely go back and watch your videos, and John as well. I love the storyteller aspects, but you are not just a storyteller. You are a teacher. Someone knows how to listen. Yes. And see, I'm a sneaky teacher because, what you're talking about is active listening. And how many people do that? I mean, we've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, but everyone uses this more. And they're usually vomiting something, And so I tell these stories, and they kind of go, everything I say goes straight into your head. Now, it's not attaching to anything, but it's bouncing around there, especially when you go to sleep in dream time. That's why John's channel, I talked about dream time a lot, right? How important it was. And so he called it dream time. But he never put my name and never gave me a cut he made a lot of money off that, right? And now that I don't do anything on his channel is like, and he could, oh, wow, why would you stay over life and do videos with me, right? And every time we do, he gets upset because we kind of do it like this instead of him doing it on the down low, me just telling him a story. Now I'll tell a story, but it's mostly, when John showed up and tried to muscle in, I kind of got out of the way and let him, because I want you to see who he is. And whenever he comes here, he's just parroting the stuff I say. Like he's saying something that he thinks you're going to want to hear. Well, if I say that, you think he's just like Al, Anyway, but John is John. And if you go on his channel, you'll see John is John. That's for sure. Now, John isn't evil or bad or terrible or any of those things. He's a good guy. He's a smart guy. He's a talented guy. He's really pretty amazing. But why John is important, it's not because he's a rock and roll star or famous or anything. No, John represents what's going on in the human race, in April 17th, 2019 at 2:37. That's why I let John come on. And I give him a few pointed questions because, if I just say something, but he'll want to, he knows, oh, I better not say the crazy stuff that comes out of my mouth. And it's not crazy, And a lot of people say, oh, that guy's batshit. He's not. I mean, I'm a shrink. He's not representing that way. What he is that people have, they haven't listened to him like I do. I listen to him all the time. But he keeps reiterating a laundry list, which we all do when we let the squirrel in the cage of our Rolodex. And that's what this guy right here. I don't know if you met this person. So this is my griot hat, right? The Pope has a crazy hat. I got this. And this guy here, this guy is DT. Hi, I'm DT. I'm the hidden hand. Here it is, the hidden hand. And I rule the universe. You ever watch that movie or read that book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Well, and at the very end, the mice, the lab rats, were running everything. Well, I am the big daddy of that. I kill the children. I eat them. I make people, if you ever look at the Greek and Roman stories of Ares, the god of war, Mars, that's me. I make sure everyone hates each other and kills each other because I get off on that. And that's the effect. People like John are susceptible to that. John represents 99% of the Homo sapiens here, the mud bags, the mud puppets, the ugly bags of water. And what is, go look at John Sings. I would say a good third of his videos are him working out, trying to look buff, look the best. Forget that. Be who you are, and make yourself better. I used to weigh almost 600 pounds. Now I'm down to 235. Well, I had to do that or I was going to die. And they were going to cut my legs off. So I lost all that weight. And let's see. Oh, there's, ooh. Yep, the Dude Awake. That's it. The Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. That's me. Yep. Now, I got a flood of this stuff, Bill. And, I've been having real issues with the internet. And so I'm challenged. But I tried my best I used to be really, really good at spending an hour every day going through my Gmail and talking to everybody. And talking, not just saying, hey, I see you. But people put up a question, I would write 4 or 5 paragraphs about themselves, because that's what I do. Let's see. Oh, so Control and 3. Where are the pluses? Is that number 8? Is that a plus? Well, I'll try it. I'll put that on my list of things to try. So, a week or two ago, YouTube kind of said, "Oh, sorry, can't do it." See, I got so comfortable with doing my live chats. That's why I did almost 600 or more. I would just go on YouTube and it said live chat. I'd hit that button and would do everything. I didn't have to do anything, right? Didn't have to edit, didn't have to do anything. It would say, what's the title? I put the title, then I'd say, the thumb shot, cover shot, and bingo, it would be off to the races. About 2 weeks ago, give or take, they went and said, hey, and I had done 2. I did 1 in the morning and 1 in the afternoon at the library, because the library has very good YouTube. And it said, sorry, can't do live YouTubes and live chats anymore from this point on, right? And if you want it, you've got to do it on a laptop or a computer, So John gave me this thing, and this thing he gave me is what is known as a Chrome computer. So it has no hard drive, has no anything. All it does has a connection to the internet, and you have to be on certain things. And then when I tried to do this, YouTube said, oh no, you have to. And one of the things they didn't like my using a phone, they kept saying, hey, we want you to use this part of the YouTube. We want this. They even tried to bribe me. They said, oh, listen, you don't have too many subscribers. And you have, 20, 30,000 views, but you probably you're in the top 1% of people who have 2, 3, 4 hour shows, and everybody watches them for the whole thing. Wow, that's cool. Because of that, we're ready to pay you for that. Normally you have to get 1,000 subscribers before you can monetize. Well, we'll do that, but it won't be that kind of monetizing. We'll give you $20 a month through this not PayPal, but this other thing that they wanted my every bit of information, and okay for them to put it in this account and blah, 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 and do whatever they want with that information, right? For $20 a month. And I said no. And that's when a day or two later, and I kept saying, I'll think about it. And then they said, no, you have to tell us right here and now, yes or no. I said no. 2 days later, they came back and said, oh, we've said we changed our way of doing things, and now you can't do this, right? So I couldn't do it on the phone. So I tried to get, myself on it using this laptop that I'm now using. And again, it said, no, you got to do this, and this, and you got to do that. If you're going to use Chrome, you got to do this, and that, bada, boom, thing. And I tried, and it just forget it. I couldn't even get in there. They wouldn't even accept my Gmail. Anyway, it was terrible, right? Because I'm a lazy slug. I just do what I got to do on that level, because I'm too busy working on deeper levels than worry about hey, this works, I'll do that, right? And I didn't ever use YouTube. Wasn't on a social platform. I didn't do anything. Now back in the day when I was a scholar, yeah, I used the internet to do research, right? And I had a really good friend. Oh, what is her name? She's probably one of the best tarot card readers and astrologers. And she gives classes and she gives readings and she has a business and she does it all over the internet. And she's missed YouTube. When I was really sick, she was really sweet and let me stay at her house for a couple of weeks. And, you know, her transactional things was she had somebody to listen to and not, you know, rag her about things, but just be her friend and listen. And I would cook her really nice meals. She liked the way I cook, you know. She really appreciated it. I mean, John, when he's stuffing in his, oh, this is amazing, this is amazing. I mean, and it kind of gets tiring. Every meal, you know, I've cooked for him for 2.5 years, and every meal, 2 meals a day, every meal, oh, it's amazing, the best. And then he, you know, you saw him in this thing. I don't know. I don't remember. When's the last meal he had? I don't know. You know, when's the last time he said this? I don't know. And then when I said, well, John, I've been cooking for you every day, 2 meals a day for 2.5 years. Well, that's not true. He didn't. And that's true. Not true, because so we started doing these videos. He bought this place, I think, in 2015. And so 2015 and 2000, well, maybe 2014. So 2014, 2015, I was here, and he would throw me out. He'd always be really, you're the fool, get out. And he'd throw me out in the middle of a snowstorm or midnight at night, and I'd have no place to go. No, even thinking about it. Just get out. And he'd be really like he's going to hit me in the head with a hammer or 2x4. He'd like this, right? Now I could like spend 6 hours and wind him back down, which I would do sometimes, but other times I'd say, screw it. I'm tired of this. I'm out of here. And so I would go away. And I, you know, the universe always takes care of me, and I would get into something. And if you go look at the YouTubes, there's all the stories of all the things I got in. So he would then realize, and he hadn't told me that he had been putting up like the old crone video and the this and the that. And that he was making, you know, $700 to $1,000 a month off of those videos. And he didn't tell me that. And he didn't offer anything. And he didn't see the value because he kept saying, oh, it's costing me money that you're here, you know. Anyway, so then after he threw me out, I'd stay away for a week, 2, or whatever. You know, if I got into something, oh, I'd be there. Then he said, oh, please go back. Oh, I miss you. Please go back. And what he really wanted was, you know, to make more videos on the sly. And then someone said, hey, did you ever look at John Birmingham's channel? I said, no, he's got one. You know, so I looked at it. It's like, I saw the metrics of everything. I said, that mother. So I stayed away even longer. And he was like, oh, please, you can stay here forever. Oh, make a contract. You'll get money, right? So, yeah, you know, I'm supposed to get 30%. Never see a nickel, right? I still buy. Yes, he gives me, you know, $40, $50. And then I go buy $200 worth of food and feed him for half a month, you know. Again, like I said, I used to do this as a business, you know, and do it for rich people. And be there to be the listener and, you know, the sounding board and the negotiator between the members of the family, and cook and do, you know, keep their house running smoothly. And I would get an apartment to live in their house, and somewhere between $500 and $3,000 a week, depending on how rich they were. And now I've been here for 2.5 years. Now, in that 2.5 years, I've probably been here, if you like put all the time together, maybe 1.5 years. You know, in that 2.5 years, a whole year, you know, 3 weeks here, 5 weeks here, you know, 2 months here. Because there was a time, man. So we did this, and he kind of threw me out a couple of times, but he'd always, oh, please come back. So I come back, and, you know, he tried to be nicer and not so, but you know, he couldn't help it. Now, John has, from when he came up here 2.5 years ago, longer, you know, since 2014, he is a different guy. You know, he goes, you've made me a kinder, gentler, nicer guy, which, you know, he is. You know, he's not going to throw me out, but he might. meaning he threatens it virtually daily, and my experience is, yeah, good. So, and that's why when he does do things like that, I'm like ready to, I'm like, that's why my room is the way it is, because I have to be ready to evacuate the premises, like in 10 minutes. Throw things in garbage bags, put it in my car, and drive away. And that's, not the most comfortable way to live. And he's got the rest of the house, right? So, and, he's been freaking out about, that evacuation that I do at night. The goblins get evacuated out of my body, and yes, the as he calls it, the slop kind of goes on the wall. Is that like the end of the world? It's like freaked him out. I said, well, then don't go in the room. I keep the door closed. But he'll go in there. The only reason why he doesn't go in there continually is that I sleep in the nude. And so when I hear the door opening, I throw the blanket off and start yanking the chain, and he loses his shit. Now, if you're a shrink out there, what does that mean? So he's scared to go in there when the door is closed. If I'm in there, if I'm not in there, it's all good. It's his house, and it is, So, and he has no compunction. Whereas he freaks out if I even think about, I mean, he'll let me go upstairs because I'll go up there because I cook for him. He puts food on a plate after eating a whole plate, and he'll take the rest of the pot, put it on a plate, and take it upstairs. And then after a week of that, we have no plates, no cups, no bowls, no spoons, no forks. So I have to go up there and clean his kitchen and wash his dishes. So I go, okay, here's the plates, here's the spoons, here's the... And then I kind of look at all the stuff he does. He goes down to the co-op. So last time he's, get me a bunch of oranges, right? So I bought him like maybe 300 oranges. There was a really good sale on really nice oranges at Kroger's, right? So I bought him like 8 bags with, like 20 in each bag. Then I'm a habitual guy. I mean, one of the main reasons I don't go to the co-op is not that I hate it or, you don't believe in it. No, because it's on the other side of town. I have no money. It takes like $2 worth of gasoline to just go over there and come back. Well, if I'm over there for a reason, I have a doctor over there. And if I go over there to see that guy, well, I'll stop in the co-op and see what they got for sale. So, and this is God's honest truth. And I know this because I used to be there when they started out. I used to be on their little, group. They didn't even call it, now it's a board, and they get paid on the board. But we were just members, and the people who wanted to be involved were kind of involved. Anyway, we used to get stuff from farmers and wherever we could get it. And then we started growing it ourselves, right? And that was the best of times. Now, Kroger's gets a lot of stuff and goes to their warehouse and comes to their place in their trucks. But they're coming from a corporation that on the box has the same name. On the bag has the same name. Kroger's has organic stuff. And one day, this is like 7 years ago, the Kroger's near us is the bougie Kroger's. It used to be Harris Teeter's. And I have an app that overrides 1,000. Oh, you do? Oh, boy. So, Bill, do you live in America? Can you send me your phone number and, walk me through all this stuff? Because I am, much better. You can send me the stuff, and and I want you to send me the links to all this stuff on the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail, right? And I'm going to go look at but the other side of the coin is Gmail I get maybe 1,000 Gmails from YouTube and Gmail about the new apps and the new this and the new that and what I should be doing with my life, and I should be buying this kind of Kotex. I don't know why they think I need Kotex. I wonder on what algorithm I'm on. But when you send me something, it's not on the top of my list. I have to go and push all and then look through, the 99,000 Gmail things from Google and YouTube. And every time I open up Gmail, it goes straight onto the screen of Facebook that says, you need to be on Facebook. And I have to do maybe 5 protocols to get rid of that. And then, I just keep hitting the X, and then it goes in right. So it's not as easy as it used to be, because back when I started this, the only thing on my Gmail account was you guys. Now it's 99% of all this other, I guess they call it spam. And the algorithm that runs that puts all of you guys into my spam. And so I go there and I still get other spam, and I have to go through that spam to see you. So a lot of you go, why haven't you read my Gmail? Because that's why. And I get frustrated. I said, fuck this. I'm not going to look at this. And then I don't look at it, right? So, but I will go through that process. So I kept hitting the X, and then this thing came up, first at Facebook, hey, XXXX, then Twitter, XXXX, then, Instagram, XXXX. I don't want to be any of that crap. And then this thing comes up now that says, you don't want spam, you don't want commercials, you want this, here's our app. You take a look. And so I hit the take a look button, and it shot me into a universe that took me days. I had to go to the phone shop to get it, because I couldn't do anything on my phone. I could receive a phone call, but I couldn't go on the internet. That thing stayed there. I couldn't get rid of it. And I had to go to the phone guy, and he didn't know how to. He sent me to another phone guy who said, yeah, wow, I've never seen this. These guys are locked. And so he took my phone, and he took it as a challenge, and he took it home with him, and he fixed it out. And he tried to put up apps and things that would protect me from all these people. He goes, I've never seen anything. And he goes, I don't understand. You have so few people watching you. You have so few anything. Why would they even freaking care to fuck with you this way? And I said, well, they just love me so much, and they do, and I love them, I have DT, and DT stands for dimensional terrestrial, because we're all friggin' terrestrials. Even the ET isn't a terrestrial. He's just an extraterrestrial, right? Polynomial terrestrial. Everything that's here is from here, not from someplace else. Other dimensions, yes. Other things, yes. And John is up there listening to this conversation, where he could be watching it on his laptop. But anyway, he sneaks down and listens to my phone calls, And then when I catch him, I said, so why are you there, John? He goes, oh, I was just going to come see you. I said, yeah, but you've been listening for the last 20 minutes. You're going to, and that's John. And John is the canary in the coal mine. He does represent as the human culture that we are in, that's trying to eat us alive. And that's the main reason I'm still here, because I could go be in other places. I could do other things. But there is a point where I've had a great effect on John. Like he says, you made me a better, nicer person. And he's right. I have. Not me so much, but my example of who I am. I wasn't like, be a better person. No, I'm just me. And that exposure of just me and my patience of, him being like, attack, it's my fault. Everything is my fault. Right? Like our neighbors have dogs that kind of ignore them. So they would come up and they found, oh, look, it's a dog guy. So they would come and they would, you saw them on this video, how sweet and nice, and they'd hug and kiss me and lick my hands. And John started feeding them. Again, he wanted a transactional relationship. He wanted their affection. So he felt he had to hit. When you feed a dog, man, that goes to a hardwired point in their head. And they never came up here regularly, habitually. But once John gave them something to eat, they're here all the time. So now he hates them, right? Because he's scared they're going to go after his cats. But forget that. Those cats will eat those. And they did. You saw that in the video. The big dog kind of went up to see the cat, and the cat went, and that was that. And the dog came running over. Look what he did to me. And I said, hey, I told you not to do that. You didn't listen. I kept saying, hey, come over here. Hey, Hey, but you just kept going. And then at a certain point, I said, well, whatever. Bottom line, that dog's like John. That's why John is somewhat, first he liked him a lot, and then he's like, eh. So he's not, since he fed them, they're not going away because their owners don't feed them that well. Because their owners just let them out and they drive away for the whole day and they come back. And if the dogs come back, yeah, they keep a bowl of something out there, but not. And they kind of treat their dogs like they're cats. No, dogs aren't their cats. Dogs need constant human companionship or the companionship of the pack. And the little dog was, a little dog that had issues and was always yap, 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 because that's what it's bred for. But once the big dog came on the scene as a puppy, and he was a little guy, a little smaller than her. I mean, that's how much he's grown. He was when he showed up here, he was a little smaller than she was, and she kicked him around and batted him like that, right? And as he grew, she still kicks him around and bats him. I mean, and they have this affection, and I think you've seen it, that affection on this show. And that's why I did. I sat out there. They were out there, and I knew they would have that thing going on and other stuff going on. So you could see what that unconditional love thing is. And that's why dogs are so great. Cats are okay too, but cats are transactional. They'll only do something if you're going to do it for them. And they're very much one or two humans, the rest of the humanity, who cares? Anyway, so let's see what you guys have been saying. Okay, Bill, send that to me and I will jump in the swimming pool of my Gmail and try and find it. Oh, you're in Virginia Beach, buddy. What, I want to go on a road trip. You want to come up and get me? Let's do it. It's springtime. Jane wants to do a road trip. I have a friend in New Mexico. So there are about 5 different people who say, well, in a week, I'm going to, get everything cleared away and I'm going to come and get you and we're going to go. And if any one of you do it, I'm like going right. I'm not even opening the door. I've already packed my bag. I'm going to jump through the window while you're still rolling to get the heck out of here. Then we can go visit all those other people who said, oh, I want to go on a road trip with you, So any of you guys, I'm putting it out. Let's do it, right? I'm here for you. I love you all. It's an hour and 38 minutes. When it hits 1:40, we'll be out of here. So anybody got something earth-shattering to say? Emailed you. Oh, good. Okay, I'm giving you a buzz then. I'm going to look for that for sure. Yep, this all sounds great, right? And so I'm going to try and see if. So the only reason I got on here after John went and was like, wow, and then took off for Texas, leaving me going, what the heck? How do I do this now? My neighbor, who is Mr. Computer, but he's not Mr. Social Media. He doesn't use this at all, but he's Mr. Computer. So he came up, as a good neighbor would do, and we went through this together, and he unspurled at least the laptop in my YouTube channel so I could do this. And, thank you, neighbor, right? And he's a really great guy. He moved here first before he found Inga's house. I got him in here, and then when John threw him out of here, I got him into that house, which is, I knew the house he needed to be, but somebody else was there who was a real dog and taking advantage of the son. And so anyway, I did all that, and that son, you can see that video on this where he's screaming at me, blah 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 blah, and basically, blaming me for the things that he did. It's and that's what people do. I mean, there was this great shrink called LeConte who said, whenever anyone blames you for something, they're talking about themselves. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye because it's 1:40 and 32 seconds. And I love you guys. So I'll see you tonight, sometime between 7:30 and now. And 242, come tonight. We'll do a guided meditation. You'll love it. You'll meet the rest of, if you liked these guys, you'll love the rest of the clan, the chorus, because we are a non-wrenched environment. We when I first started, oh, that person's a troll. We have to get rid of him. I said, no, everyone is welcome here. And all we have to do is be respectful to each other and listen to each other and come back with a real comment that's going through here, the wire that goes through here. And they did. And that's why the chorus is amazing. That's why Billy and everyone else, amazing. Dumb, ooh, amazing. Right? So see you tonight, 7:30, 8 o'clock, depending on John Boy and what other things happen in the universe. Okay, gang. I love you guys. Catch you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I'm going to say that until 4 right now.